Riverine premium beef for your unparalleled eating experience is produced from carefully selected prime quality cattle that are raised in the lush, temperate Riverine region of Australia. The cattle that meet the rigorous Riverine standard are grain fed for 100 days and graded under the Meat Standards Australia grading system to ensure the brand delivers on its eating quality promise.
How do we cook a perfect steak like the restaurant does each time? Now, you'd want to start with something MSA graded and with a nice amount of marbling to it. Now, basically your best steak cuts come from the back of the animal. So if you're thinking about a cow, anything along the back there, so you've got your porterhouse, your Scotch fillets, a little bit of your rump there, and on the inside you've got an eye fillet or a tenderloin as well. The porterhouse is also called a sirloin sometimes. And then we've got our rump steak. What I've got here also, this is a cut off the Scotch fillet with the rib bone still attached. And this is a very popular steak now called a rib eye. We'll cut off a porterhouse here now. If I cut it from back here on the porterhouse, we're going to get what you call a centre cut porterhouse. Lovely line of fat here, which helps to drip on your plate and tenderise and grill away as you go. It's got a really nice amount of marbling, which helps to keep it nice and juicy when it's cooked. And that's a lovely steak right there. I'm going to leave the fat on till we cook it, and later on when you serve it, people have got a steak knife, they can take the fat off if they like, but a lot of flavour and tenderness in the cooking process comes from the fat. Okay, this little loin here is what we call the Scotch fillet. Now, Scotch fillet's a terrific steak, particularly if you're using an open grill. This piece of fat here melts down and creates a really lovely smokiness. When you're cutting off the rump, you want to cut off the face there. It'll need to be a bit thinner because the rump's a pretty big piece of meat. So I'm just going to face that one off a bit, and then cut a really nice even sized steak. Now, rump's not as tender as these other cuts here, but it delivers a lot on flavour and it comes pretty close, and it's a little bit more economical as a cut. If your steak's stone cold in the fridge, when you put it on a hot grill, it's going to do two things. It's going to stress the meat too much, and it's going to cause it to toughen up slightly. It's also going to drop the temperature of the plate, so you don't get that nice crispy caramelisation when you're cooking it. We've got our steak out of the fridge. We've got our barbecue nice and hot. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to oil our plate. So what we want to do is we want to oil the product. If we go splashing oil all over this grill, it's going to smoke, it's going to burn, it's going to taste not so nice. So what I like to do is get a plate, get some nice extra virgin olive oil on there. I'm using a fairly local product, which is lovely, Cockatoo Ridge. A little bit of salt and pepper on there. And then with your Scotch fillet, we're just going to give it a little glaze on top. Okay. If you want it heavily charred, use the open side. If you want it lightly charred, use the closed side. And when you put your beef down, it should sear off nicely. You can see that smoking up a bit. It's nice and hot. It's going to give it a good caramelisation and sear hard. Now, if it doesn't sear and sizzle when you put it in, get your steak off, let the barbecue heat up again, and then pop it back on. So for a Scotch fillet this size, I'd be thinking about 3 minutes either side and then rest. So we're talking a minute and a half this way, a minute and a half this way, flip it, a minute and a half, and then a minute and a half will be about a medium rare. Okay, so a minute and a half thereabouts on this side, thereabouts on that side, and give yourself the nice crisscrosses. When you crisscross, you actually increase the surface area of char. So if it gets to medium and then you take it off to rest, it's going to rest through to medium well, or even well done. So you want to get it off before it gets there. Now the best way to be able to tell, if we feel that little muscle there, just like so, that's what a rare steak should feel like. If I touch my forefinger to my thumb, That's what a medium rare steak will more than likely feel like. The resistance grows each time you move up. So to the middle finger, a medium steak. Medium well, and of course well done at the end, and you can feel the resistance is quite hard when you get to the end there. Why do you have to rest your meat? Basically, you're cooking a muscle with muscle fibres through there. As it heats up, all those fibres are contracting and getting tighter. Let them rest for 5 minutes and they release off quite nicely. I'd like to suggest with a steak this size that you rest it for about 5 minutes. 5 minutes you say, it's going to get a bit bloody cold, isn't it? That's why we cooked them to 1 degree under. So I can whack them back on the grill and flash them till they're ready. Righto, so after you've rested those steaks, we're just going to give them a little black back on the grill. Just a 1-2, just to drive some heat back in there so they're nice and hot when you serve them. So a little bit on each side, bing, bang, and then you can go through again and just test that they're right. You can always add a bit more cooking, but it's very hard to take it away. Once we've cooked these little babies off and we've rested them well, you're going to serve them up to your very lucky dinner companions. Now I'm just going to cut that to see how close I got it to medium rare, and you can see there that's pretty much spot on the money. I'll put a piece of lemon there, and chefs, we go mad for garnish, so a bit of garnish there, a little bit more sea salt, a lovely medium rare or porterhouse steak.